And I'm gonna skip around, so I'm not gonna tell you the chapter. Well, yes, I am. It's chapter 11. It's a great chapter. And my favorite chapter is chapter 18, just to let you know. And I also want to acknowledge the cardinal for some of the imagery in this book. He did a talk several years ago, and I also have to, okay, quick Cardinal George story. So Cardinal George is invited to my parish. I was at St. Thomas of Canterbury at the time to do a talk, and the conference I organized was called the Sacramentality of Sex. So it was a wonderful conference, and Cardinal George was invited to come and share as part of that. And I said to him, I said, Cardinal, before the conference, we have a soup kitchen at our parish. Would you like to come and just, have soup with the poor? And I said, it's not a photo op. We're not going to tell anybody. Just come and eat with the poor. And he jumped at it. Didn't jump physically, but he said yes. And it was wonderful. He comes down and he just sits down at the table, and it's about 300 homeless people around, and this time I have my firstborn in a sling, and me and little baby Jonathan are kind of the Cardinal's bodyguards at this point, and we sit down at the table too, and he comes a volunteer, sets a little bowl of soup in front of the Cardinal, and he starts eating the soup, and then this homeless guy across from him says, you look familiar, who are you? As evidence reaches out, he says, I'm Francis, how are you? And he starts shaking his hand. He said, no, you're famous. You're somebody famous. Who are you? And he was very humble. He said, I'm the Cardinal Archbishop of Chicago. And the guy was like, no way. And since we have children here, I'm going to fill in some words there. But he basically said, no blankety blank way. You're the blankety blank Cardinal. And then he leans into the table. Do you remember this here? I don't know. But the guy leans into the table and says, hey, everybody's the blankety blank Cardinal. And then the guy was like, well, my father, he's a blankety-blank Baptist minister. I'm going to tell him the blankety-blank Cardinal is here. And Cardinal George was just phenomenal. And it was wonderful. And afterwards, we're going upstairs to the church, and he just kind of looked at me and said, and that was interesting. And there was part of me that wanted to say, well, you are the blankety-blank Cardinal. But I did not. I was a good deacon in formation at the time. So, but it was wonderful to see, the Cardinal Archbishop of Chicago so willing to just sit with the poor and to eat with them. That was beautiful. Most people are repulsed by prostitutes. Even a beggar holding a cardboard sign at the end of a highway exit ramp can elicit our disgust. Our attitudes towards the poor and the homeless often reflect deep fears within ourselves. There but for the grace of God go I can be a scary thought. We live in a culture with very deep narratives that inform our thinking about others. Picture any cowboy movie of the last century and you'll see the image of a rugged individual struggling against the odds to overcome hardship. This and other narratives embedded within the American psyche can callous our hearts towards the poor. We've all heard the phrase, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's deeply woven into our culture, but no one really knows its origins. It presumes that we're all wearing boots, and our laces are equally strong, and that we have the strength and ability to pull ourselves up. So when we see people apparently not tugging on those bootstraps as we think they should, our hearts harden towards them. The reality is that life is not a level playing field. The iconic cowboy is a myth, and not all bootstraps are equal. When I first started Emmaus, I realized how naively I had assumed that everyone could get off the streets if they just tried a little harder. They needed to be strong, tough, and just pull themselves up by their bootstraps. But what really needed strengthening was mercy within my own heart. Mercy is a muscle. It has to be worked, stretched, and challenged if it is to grow. Dominican sister Mary Alice Hannon ran a shelter in New York City where I once served as a volunteer. During one of our training sessions, she said, if you look at a street person and are repulsed by what you see, it shows something equally repulsive within inside of you. Her words were like a punch in my gut. My attitude needed adjusting. My mercy muscle needed some exercise. I expected many things when I took 3 guys from the streets up to the north woods of Wisconsin. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. We had a wonderful time taking these guys up to the streets. A lot of the guys that we work with have never been out of the north side of Chicago, let alone 6 hours north into the beautiful north woods. And we played volleyball, and we went hiking, and we had snowball fights, and it was just this idyllic time of these guys who were just so poor.